Hi, I'm Scott Kinville, and welcome to Small Town Life right here on the Studio 25 Podcast Network. Our guest today has been a baseball staple in this area for at least a couple decades. But before I bring him in, of course, I want to bring in my sidekick, the producer, the guy who's responsible for all these graphics you see on the screen, Dave Stitch Warner.
Stitch. Is that the new?
That's your baseball name now.
That's my baseball name.
Yes.
Did you give that to me a year or two ago?
I did.
Yeah, you did.
And
I remember
it's going to
that.
stick.
All right. I like that one. Dave the Save I like too. So Stitch works for me.
Well, for anybody who doesn't know, we do other shows together. We do the hockey show, which is where Dave the Save came from, right?
Yeah.
So, he's got to have a baseball name.
I know.
I
like that one.
He didn't particularly care for the basketball name and came up with them for him, so we won't get into that.
All right.
But anyways, enough about you.
Yeah.
What we're here to do is we're here to talk to the president and the general manager of your Mohawk Valley Diamond Dawgs, Mr. Travis Heiser. Travis, thank you for taking the time to come on the show.
Absolutely. Appreciate the opportunity to come on and talk to you guys. It's always fun.
It is. It's always a blast having you here because every year, we're getting into spring now. The snow's melting. The weather's getting warmer sometime. And the field will dry out eventually. And we're going to have Diamond Dawgs baseball back. So, Travis, how long have you been here with the Diamond Dawgs?
This actually is going to be my 18th summer, not with the Dogs, but in the city of Little Falls with baseball. I got involved 18 years ago. Kind of a funny story, and not really funny, but my journey here has been interesting to say the least. I was a high school baseball coach, and 18 years ago, I received a phone call from, at the time, Justin Gordon, who was the not the head coach, the pitching coach at Temple University, who asked me if I'd be willing to come up and get involved in the team and kind of throw batting practice, coach first base, and just be a part of it. Of course, the opportunity came. I left coaching high school baseball to come up here for that season, and that season was great for me. It was to be around college athletes again, playing a higher level of baseball, but also during that time, that summer, prior to the season, I had a life-changing moment. My daughter was born. And needless to say, that was a challenge. I was teaching full-time, then leaving school, and then coming up to the city of Little Falls to games. And during that time, my daughter had colic. So my wife was home. She's kind of been the rock of this whole process. I wouldn't be able to do what I do without her and my family. But my daughter had colic. And at that time, I would be getting calls in her game and texts in her games that Sophia won't stop crying. I'm struggling. Long story short, I made it through the season, and we kind of progressed. I wanted to stay involved with the team, and eventually I asked at the time Miles Wolf, who was the owner of the team, who some of you have probably seen the movie Bull Durham.
Legendary movie, great movie. He was actually the owner of the Durham Bulls when the movie was filmed. So
that's like really cool.
Yeah, it's a cool story. I don't think a lot of people realize that, Miles Wolf at that point when I was coming up he's still considered, one of the most important influential people in minor league baseball.
Wow.
So, was fortunate to coach when he was the owner of the team. And then obviously my daughter having colic, I wanted to stay involved, but I didn't think that me being away, all those 40 nights with a young child at home was probably the best thing for my marriage, so to speak.
Well, there's that,
It was kind of a big
I don't know
deal.
why you're worried about that.
I love the game of baseball, but also here I had this little, baby, first time being a dad, and my wife's at home. So I asked basically at that time, Miles' son, if there was opportunity for me within the organization to be involved, but maybe not on the field. And at that point, they made me the assistant GM for the following year. I did that. It was a great experience to kind of learn the business side of things and not so much the baseball. And then the following year, they flew me to Durham, which was an experience in itself to kind of fly down in the morning, meet with Miles Wolf and his assistant Dan, and talked about what my vision was for the city of Little Falls and what I could do to help keep baseball alive. At that point, I was offered to be the general manager of the team. I did that for a year. Again, very eye-opening, more of the business background of baseball rather, and it was challenging for me because I didn't have a degree in business, I didn't have a degree in marketing. I've kind of learned on the fly, and then the following summer the team sold. The team sold to an individual named Dave Dittman, who, when he bought the team, I didn't know what was going to happen. Was I going to stay on? Was I going to have to look for other options to stay involved with the team? He kept me on board, thank God, and he became really a mentor to me. And he really changed the dynamic of baseball in the Mohawk Valley, in my opinion.
This is a great story.
This is a great story. Yeah, we haven't heard this.
Yeah, so Dave was great because he's been around the game. His father was a corporate attorney for the Philadelphia Phillies. So here was a guy that came in. I was 20s, I don't know, maybe late 20s, early 30s at the time, and kind of took me under his wing. And there were discussions that we had about what we could do to market the team. And the first thing is to change the name to Mohawk Valley. And that's really where we dropped, the Little Falls, not because we didn't love Little Falls, but the reality is to market it, we needed to change the name to Mohawk Valley.
Sure.
So that's really where Mohawk Valley came into play, was at that time period. We obviously did Diamond Dawgs to play off the diamonds in our area, which is a huge tourist attraction and whatnot. So that's where the Diamond Dawgs came from. The colors green and black stayed. They were the colors previously when we were the Little Falls Miners. So when Dave got on board, here comes this guy. He's from Newport, Rhode Island. He's owned several teams. I was he was wild. He was crazy, for lack of better terms.
The Charlie Veck of the...
and that's, listen, you say Bill Veck, but that's Charlie how Veck. Dave was. And I was a traditional baseball guy, thinking we're just going to play baseball. That's what we're about. And when I got with Dave and he kept me on board as, the general manager, he had ideas that I was like, this guy is off his rocker. He wanted to do things as weddings on the field and different things. And at first I was like, this is not going to work. And as I became closer with Dave and kind of watched, the Diamond Dawgs evolve, it was apparent that he knew what he was doing. Prior to Dave getting involved, we'd probably have 40 to 50 fans at a game, if that. Dave gets involved and really starts teaching me how to market a team and how to go out into the community and be involved. And that first 2 years with Dave, it just took off. And I think that's really when the Diamond Dawgs were maybe in its infancy, but that's where it really all started for us. And again, we just made not just about baseball, but about affordable family fun. And I've taken that mantra, so to speak, even to this day, that's what we really want to focus on, affordable family fun. You don't have to be a baseball fan to come to the game and whatnot. So I worked with Dave, I don't know how many, 3-4 years. We had our love-hate relationship. But I will say that Dave was, very helpful in my development as a baseball person in the business side of things. Really taught me an awful lot, and I'll be forever grateful for him for that opportunity. And Dave was obviously getting older, and him coming back and forth from Little Falls, from Newport, Rhode Island, was taking a toll on him. And he approached me, one fall and said, I think you're ready. Yeah. And that was a conversation where he says, I think I'm going to sell it. He says, but before I sell it, or before I, put it out there in the market, I really want you to have it, is what he, the conversation went. And when that conversation happened, mixed emotions. This is something I want to do. I'm a father. I'm a husband. I got
have a whole separate
job.
career.
Yeah. This is going to be a lot. When I do something, I'm all in. And I discussed it with my wife, who, at the time, was,
if she had known, yeah, really,
she was like, I don't know. It's a lot of work, and but that was probably the one time I didn't listen to my wife, and I said, "Well, I really want to do it." And she's been supportive, 100%.
Yeah, but that's not the question. Was she right or was she wrong?
She was. I think she was right. I think it was a challenge for me to do it. But I think she realizes how much I really love the game of baseball. So, and I think in her eyes, if I'm happy, she's happy. Listen, there's been ups and downs with running a business and having a family and having a full-time job. But, my wife has really been, like I said before, the rock. And without her, I don't achieve anything that I've ever achieved in my life. So for me, it's really, yes, I'm the general manager, I'm the president, I'm the owner, but without her and my other family members and friends, the Diamond Dawgs do not exist.
Yeah, he's doing an awful lot of sucking up right now.
Well,
there must be, it's the start of the season right here.
Listen,
you got to do that every once in a while, Dave. All right.
Listen, to be honest with you, I don't give. I am talking about my wife an awful lot, and she's probably going to be killing me when she sees this. But the reality is, it's true. I'm, I guess you could say, the face of the team. I'm the one that everybody knows, but there's a lot of people in my inner circle who would allowed me to follow this dream and continue on this path and continue to do it. Obviously, her being one of the most important pieces to this puzzle, my kids, my parents, my sister, my grandparents, and everybody in the community and sponsors and whatnot. So this has been something it's been a wild ride.
You got half your family out there every game.
Yeah, it's turned into
Right.
A family business. My dad retired, my mom retired, and they were looking for something to do. And I said, I got the perfect thing for you.
You will not be bored, Mom and Dad.
They will not be bored.
Suckers.
So I put them to work. My dad's flipping burgers. My mom's in the concession stand. My daughter, who's a senior this year, and that's how I know it's 18 years, because she's going to be 18. Yeah. That's how I associate how long I've been with the team, because she was that baby that had the colic long ago.
She still has it. I've seen her crying out there.
She does get a little frustrated sometimes, but it's been good. And, my staff I've had with me since day one when I bought the team. And again, best staff in the league, I think that's what makes us who we are. But that's kind of my story. So I bought the team, when Dave did offer it to me. And the reason I bought it, to be completely honest with you, is for a couple reasons. I love the game of baseball. It's my obsession. Some people enjoy, buying boats or buying snowmobiles. Yeah, I bought a baseball team. And people think, well, that's crazy for a teacher to buy a baseball team. Yes, it is. I've been told I've been crazy by many people, my wife being one, but she's still there. And so I bought it because I really felt that Major League Baseball was pricing themselves out for the average fan, right?
Totally agree.
You can go to a Yankee game, you can go to a Mets game, but the reality is it's going to cost a family an average of probably $1,000 to go.
Yeah.
So being in education, I really saw how families struggle, and living in today's world is tough. The economy is not very good. It's a challenge. So when I bought the team, I really bought it to keep baseball alive in youth. And I wanted local youth to be able to see high-level baseball, because I don't think a lot of kids have the opportunity to go see the Yankees or go see the Mets.
Yeah.
So for me, bringing that high-level baseball to the Valley and to keep it here was something that I knew I wanted to do. So that was a big part of me purchasing a team from Dave as well.
But you were involved in athletics. I mean, you said you were a teacher, but right, you were also involved in sports.
Yeah, growing up, I mean, listen, I played baseball in obviously all the way through Little League, through high school, and I played in college as well. Then coached when I became a teacher. Coached varsity girls basketball. I coached boys basketball. Varsity baseball, varsity soccer, the whole gamut of sports.
So it's not that much of a stretch for you to have bought a baseball team, a collegiate baseball team, right?
No,
yeah.
It's the financials of it was stressful. That was the stressful part of it. But again, I wanted to keep the team in the city of Little Falls. I felt that if I didn't buy it, the team would have been moved, out of Herkimer County. Yeah. There's no doubt. And I know that when that occurred, when the Little Falls Mets were here, it left a big void to the people here in not only the city of Little Falls, but the Mohawk Valley. So by me purchasing it, it did stay here. And we've been here ever since. I believe the Diamond Dawgs, myself, have been here longer than any other organization that has played at Vets Park up to this point.
That is correct, yes, actually, because the Mets were here 77 to 88, and that's the second longest running, but you guys have certainly surpassed that mark. And you mentioned earlier about marketing, which, you've been doing this for 18 years, so obviously a lot's changed from when you started to now. Describe some of the challenges in marketing a team in 2025 as compared to when you started.
Yeah, I think obviously, the first thing for marketing for me is those relationships with local businesses. I think I've been very fortunate to have great sponsors. From the start, I've had sponsors that have been with me since day one, and it's amazing to it starts off as a business relationship, then we become friends, and then it's families getting together. But I think in 2025 the challenge is the economy's struggling. And it's trying to be able to keep things affordable, not only for our fans, but for our sponsors. I think we have a lot of sponsors that want to be involved and that are involved. And I think this year our sponsorship clients are up from previous years, which says a lot about the Diamond Dawgs and the people in the community, because we are in an economy that is struggling. So for us to have more sponsors than we've ever had is, it's a good feeling.
Yeah. So, and we see on your social medias, when you guys have been signing players left and right, building that roster up. So for those that don't know, describe to us, like for the PGCBL, there's no draft. So is it really just kind of like free agents? You're reaching out to as many players as you can to try to get them to come here, or is there some kind of an order to it?
Well, for us and most teams in the league, I think the recruiting starts before our season is even over. There's players that I have re-signed that are coming back this year for the 2025 season that were with me in 2024. I started some of those conversations last summer with those players who I liked. They might have not been the best player on our team, but they fit into our system. We're a different organization. We're a blue-collar organization. We're not the organization that has all the bells and whistles. We don't have the greatest facility in the league, but what we do have is the greatest fans. We have the greatest sponsors, right? And it works for us. So again, as far as recruiting goes, it's not a draft, to answer your question.
Right.
There is no draft, and it's like anything else in the world. It's based on those relationships. I've doing this 18 years. I've had a lot of relationships with college coaches from New York to California, and everywhere in between. And really what it's about for us is reaching out to those connections that I've made over those last 18 years. And those coaches know what I'm looking for. They know the area that the player is coming to, because when you say New York and I'm talking to a kid in California, that kid thinks I'm going to New York City. You're not going,
far from it.
You're not going to New York City.
And then you stick them on the Nellis family farm,
And
right?
I stick them on a Nellis family farm, and they're milking cows, and they're doing hay. But all in all, I think it's really, for me, it's about trusting the coaches that I get players from. And you'll see a lot of common schools over the years that I get players from. It's because of those relationships and those connections. If I do get new schools, the reason I get new schools is because one of my former players is now turned into the coaching profession, and they're sending me players from their respective schools.
And you've been dipping into Texas. I've noticed that.
Yeah,
like
we've been
that.
moving down into Texas the last couple of years, and this year again I have 3 more players come from the big state of Texas, so a baseball hotbed. But yeah, it's a grind, and for me, I'm not recruiting necessarily the overall. Obviously we want the best players, but I always ask the question when I talk to coaches, how is the kid off the field? How are the parents? I don't want a kid that's in the city of Little Falls or the Mohawk Valley that's going to be a liability for me. Right? I live in this community. My family lives in this community. I'm not going to have a kid come from another state that's going to come here and just ruin my reputation. So for us, it's a kind of a zero tolerance policy, and we recruit, that blue collar kid that really wants to get after it and grind every single day.
And it's interesting that you say all that, because, for fans, it's 2 months of Diamond Dawgs baseball. Hey, great, end of May through August, and then, okay, we'll see you next season. But for you, this is a 12-month a year, probably almost 365-day-a-week job or a year job.
Yeah, it's a job that does take all year, right? Like I said, I start my average as soon as the season ends, probably within 2 weeks. I send emails out and I call all my sponsors from that season, thanking them, giving them kind of a synopsis rundown of kind of how the season went, and basically just asking for verbal commitments. Can we count you on board for the 2025 season? That starts from the business standpoint of things. And then I move into I'm recruiting of players. I'm emailing coaches, I'm texting coaches, I'm talking to coaches into the fall, and trying to sign players for the upcoming 2025 season. A lot of the announcements that you see on our social media, it's the signing of those players. Those players have been signed probably prior to Christmas. We're just releasing them now. So where it says player signed, the player wasn't signed that day. Right. They've been signed, and we kind of just release them as we get closer to the season.
He won't even tell me, Scott. He doesn't even link it to me.
Well, honestly, I can't blame him. But
oh, come on.
But yeah, and besides not only trying to recruit players, but there's so many other logistics involved with running the team. You got to find a place for them to live while They're here.
Correct.
They got to be able to eat. So tell us about some of the program and the needs for the team that you're going to need coming into this season.
Yeah, this year we're housing all of our players that aren't with host families. We still have great host families, and I think our players enjoy being with host families. And I give them the option. If you want to be in apartment style housing, we can do that. If you'd rather be a host family, you can do that. So this year I have many host families like we've had in the past for those players that prefer a host family. And this year we'll be staying at Herkimer College, using their dorms this year for those players that wanted that apartment style housing.
Interesting.
It's
you didn't know that, Scott? Come on, yeah.
Very good partnership, with Herkimer College over the years, the advertising partner, and it just makes sense for us. Pretty close with the coaching staff up there, and for the baseball standpoint, and I think it helps us to be on a facility where if kids want to go throw on their off days or they can hit. Everything's right there. It's a one-stop shop.
And you've got some Herkimer players too.
And we do have Herkimer players, and again, they've been supportive, as far as sponsors since we started as well. So it's just been good. As the big thing for us as far as needs besides housing is post-game meals. You can see me. I post a lot of stuff on social media asking people to kind of help out. When we play at home, we try to provide a good cooked meal for our players after the home games. I feel that's important because when we go on the road, our players are fed by the opposing teams, but 9 times out of 10, it's concession food, right?
Mm-hmm. So I didn't know that. I had actually never thought about it. So that's cool.
Yeah, so it's kind of an agreement that we have with other teams in the league, and we go if we wherever we're playing in Stadium A, we might get post-game pizza or just hot dogs or hamburgers. So when our players are home, I really try to make that effort to have local restaurants either cater a meal or local people will sponsor a meal and we'll order it from a local restaurant or establishment to try to give our players some home cooked good food because they are playing every day, and sure. I think it's nice for them to be able to have a nice hot meal after a game, especially a home game, instead of eating a hot dog or hamburger. So that is a
nice little change of pace, right?
It is a change of pace for us, for sure.
Especially dorm life. It's hot dogs every day, or
or pizza. Or pizza.
So, and if anybody wants to get involved to try to help out, all they got to do is email you, right?
Yeah, email is the easiest thing. That's Travis@nvdiamonddawgs.com. Also, you can send us messages on any of our social media accounts: Instagram, Facebook, X. Sorry, I want to say Twitter, but X.
X. Everybody's getting around to X.
Everybody's getting around to it, but for us, anybody that wants to get involved, please reach out. And the other thing I'm looking for this year is I posted it and I had some interest. I'm looking for some EMTs. If there's any local EMTs out there that are potentially love the game of baseball and want to be involved and kind of help us out a little bit. I'm looking for EMTs that just want to be at the field in case there is any situation.
Well, you can send me if Dave allows me to come down, I can help out.
Well,
so Hold on, we got to put the play-by-play down for a second.
Jeez.
Yeah. So we're looking. I'm looking for just some EMTs that want to come down, and if there's anything serious, we just call 911. But we're looking for EMT just to be there if there's a something that happens.
I thought you were just trying to cover BB on the field.
No, on the field.
We need way more than an EMT than that. Eh?
ALS. All right.
Security.
Well.
Yeah. So really, that's really what we're looking for. And again, we're excited about the year, and I think our fans are excited as well. I mean, we have a lot of groups already booked for almost the entire month of June. We're looking into July. So again, this season is setting up to be one of our most well-attended seasons. So we're really, really excited, and I like our team, and our coaching staff again is great as well. So.
And so, I mean, the season starts pretty soon here. We're a couple months away. Well, less than actually.
Months?
Less than.
We're like 5 weeks away.
Yeah, so less than a couple months then. But I'm trying to buy you time. I'm trying to do it. Anything new and exciting we can expect? You got to talk about the Durham Bulls. I was thinking, how awesome would a Bull Durham night be?
Oh. Yeah, there's lots of things that
probably legalities.
Yeah,
right?
there might be some problems.
Well, maybe we can ask the city about running a bull around the field. See how they feel about that.
Yeah, I'll get right on that.
I think.
And in other news, no longer is used as vet field.
These guys, my new marketing department, right there, you guys.
Yeah, we're at.
Be careful what you wish for. That's all I can tell you.
Careful. Be very careful.
Listen, I think we're going to, again, continue to do the on-field promotions and whatnot. Again, it's really a safe environment for kids and families to come. We do in our Baseball Buddies program again. A lot of groups that are coming. We're getting a lot of civic groups that are starting to come out, wanting to hold their meetings at a Diamond Dawgs.
Oh, that's
game.
Cool. Like Rotary and stuff like that. Yeah,
it's
a
great idea.
Of that nature.
Yeah,
Elks clubs and things of that nature, or people that are starting to reach out and trying to book groups for them to come in July. We've also had some discussions with individuals about class reunions being held at our games. So there's lots of options for people that want to come and have something going on during their events, right? Class reunions are great.
There are some extra picnic tables out there in case you hadn't noticed yet.
Picnic tables. And speaking of that, we're also going to be putting up a huge tent in the third base area. We've had that previously. It helps the look of the facility a little bit, and obviously, if there is a little bit of drizzle, it's a safe place for people to go and stay dry.
Yeah.
So those are some things we have going on, and again, I think. As we progress through the season, we're going to have some giveaways this year as well, which a lot of people seem to like. But all in all, I think this season's shaping up to be one of our best.
Just one other question about that. Will the Diamond Dawgs be using torpedo bats?
Torpedo bats.
Oh, God, here we go.
I've been in Herkimer County for the last 3 hours. I've been asked about torpedo bats probably about 10 times.
Sorry about that.
Listen, I buy bats for our players, but typically players will bring their own bats because they creatures of habit. They like to use what they use. Will I buy some torpedo bats? I am going to buy some torpedo bats.
Oh, there we go.
Right, there's a whole story.
Whether we use them or not, I don't know. But
automatic home run every time.
I'm going to buy some torpedo bats just to kind of see how the players like them. So in college, they're swinging their BB core bats, which is not wood. So when they come to us, it's really it's all wood bat league. So I'll give them a torpedo bat and see what happens.
That's nice. Yeah. I like that.
That's really cool. We got to do a story about that.
Oh yeah,
that's for sure.
Yeah, a separate story.
Bats.
That's for sure. Well, Travis, I mean, you have done such a tremendous job in the time you've been here. The 2 league championships, you've had players make it to the major leagues. That's really got to feel good, right? When you're seeing players that were right here in Little Falls in the Mohawk Valley, climbing up that ladder all the way up to the show.
Yeah, it's really at the end of the day, that's what it's about, right? Helping kids and players that come here achieve their dream. And getting drafted, we've had over 100 players drafted at Major League Baseball. And getting drafted is only one part of it. Once you get drafted, and then the work really starts. So, the 18 years to have 5 players, make it to Major League Baseball. Some people might say 5. That's all you've had. Well, it's hard to get.
It's there. That's a long road.
It's a grind to get there. it is fun. I've had the opportunity to take my son and my family to several Major League Baseball games and reconnect with those players that played with us and do jersey swaps and with their old jerseys that when they were with the Diamond Dawgs and whatnot. So it's been a great experience. It's kind of cool to be watching the Yankee game and watching your former player pitching against Aaron Judge. So it's wild. You never know who you're going to see here in the city of Little Falls in the Mohawk Valley playing with the Diamond Dawgs. And not only baseball wise, we also have players that have went on and done great things outside of baseball, whether it's been a country singers or people that are in actors and whatnot. But it's really interesting to see how these individuals have grown into adults and what they've done with their lives.
Yeah, he said country singers, Willie Shaw, right? And
Willie Shaw, Colin Hawk,
right down Dave's alley.
Yeah. So a lot of people that have gone on, and even our coaches staff. A lot of people, don't realize that the coaches that we've had in the past. Blake Nation is won the 15 and 17 championships with us. He's still now he's in professional baseball. He's coaching with in the Brewers organization, which is that's pretty amazing. I have Troy Gerlach, who coached a while ago. He's actually a high school coach in Arizona, but he's also a coach for Team USA.
Oh, wow.
Baseball, I have Coach Vaz, which was also one of our other head coaches. He's the hitting coach for the Chicago Cubs in the minor league organization.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it is.
So
all started right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we had another pitching coach who's now at Villanova University. Just guys that have gone on to continue in the game of baseball at a very, very high level is something that I'm really proud of to give those guys their starts and give them their experience here in the Mohawk Valley and to watch them grow is something special.
Yeah, and I'm sure like a lot of kids around here grew up watching Diamond Dawgs baseball, wanting to be one of those Diamond Dawgs. But I got to ask you, who did little Travis Heiser want to be when he grew up to become a Major League Baseball player?
That's a good one.
Listen, I did want to grow up and be a professional baseball player. And I'll be honest with you, part of me at 46, I tell people all the time, why are you still doing this? I guess, for the reasons I mentioned before, but at the end of the day, I'm still chasing that dream. If Major League Baseball ever called me and said, "Hey, we like what you do in the Mohawk Valley," that'd be great. But
can you hit a 100-mile-an-hour fastball? That's what we want to know.
Be in the game, not to play the game of baseball, to be on the business side and player development type of stuff like that.
Yeah,
not
Scott, he's a little over the hump.
46. I'm not playing professional.
I got faith
baseball.
in him.
Yeah. But when I retire, in 10 years from education, I would love to do something in Major League Baseball. Whatever that might be, and I think I'm trying to build that resume here with what we're doing with the Dogs, but I'm still chasing that dream too.
Maybe even front office would be making
good, right?
And
to have that
and what a story there, from principal to the front office. Huh?
Yeah, it'd be exciting for sure. So. Growing up, I really enjoyed. Probably my favorite player was Cal Ripken Jr.
Good choice.
That's a good choice. Yeah.
The reason, I was a shortstop. He was a shortstop. Number 8, I'm kind of obsessed with. He wore number 8. My son wears number 8. My dad wore number 8. So it kind of all goes together.
You're not going to get involved in that lawsuit with Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Lamar Jackson over the number 8, are you?
No,
okay.
not getting into that. Not getting to that. I really grew up as a kid being a Mets fan. So, going back to, some of the events that we've done in the past with former Mets coming, it was kind of things came full circle to be hanging out with Dwight Gooden, hanging out with Mookie Wilson and these players that I grew up kind of watching on I think it was WPIX back in the day.
Sure.
And now being able to have conversations with them and meet them and call them on the phone and speak to them, things have come full circle. But
that's got to be just crazy, right?
It's fun. It's an experience, and nobody can take that away from me at the end of the day. So those memories that I've created, not only for myself but for my family and friends has been great. But Cal Ripken, the Mets, and then as I got older, I transitioned to the Yankees.
I bet that made a lot of Mets fans not too
transition.
Wow.
I see.
And the reason I ended up having the opportunity to play at Yankee Stadium in a college all-star game, which was kind of surreal for me to be on a Major League Baseball field and kind of play an actual game. But again, I'm really just a baseball fan. Now I am still a Yankee fan. Go to a lot of Yankee games. It's really the one thing that my family and really enjoys. So that's when the four of us, my wife, my daughter, and my son, a lot of people want to go on vacation. We go to Yankee games. So we go to, that's what we do, and that's our family thing. And, it's nice to see my wife come full circle.
Oh, yeah.
She is now all we watch. We're excited that the Major League Baseball season started because that's, as a family, that's what we do. We watch the Yankees. So every night, if you come to my house, you call me, 9 times out of 10, that Yankee game is on TV. Yeah. So
is your son going to be a dog?
That's the second time I've been asked that question
today.
Yes.
I want to know where you've been.
Today,
you better not have been at a competitor.
I was just going to say. Sounds like he's been on a media tour today.
Yeah, really.
Something.
No, it's my son he's in 6th grade and he loves the game of baseball, and God willing, he will be good enough to have the opportunity to play for the Dawgs someday. And when we talk about full circle, boy, that'd be something.
Oh, wouldn't it?
Wow. Yeah.
Special to me. But again, I just want him to love the game of baseball the way I love it. Baseball is a grind. It's a game of failure. And if he's good enough to play for the Dawgs, that'd be for me probably the ultimate.
Yeah.
But if he's not, just having him around it and being, around college athletes and high level players, he learns a lot just by doing that. So I think if anything, I've given, the people of the Mohawk Valley some great memories of going to Dawgs games, and
absolutely,
I've had some great memories. My family's had great memories, and we will never forget our time that we've had here in the city and in the Mohawk Valley, and we're excited to see where the future is going to go. And we're not done yet, and hopefully we can win a championship in 2025 and keep this train on the track and keep moving in the right direction.
Keep those banners coming to the Mohawk Valley. I love it.
Really.
Well, Travis, we certainly, and I think I speak on behalf of everybody in the Mohawk Valley, we appreciate the efforts that you've done for almost 2 decades now in bringing baseball here. You've done such a tremendous job, and you really hats off to you because you've done a fantastic job.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And again, not for nothing, it's not me, it's everybody, right? It's the community, it's the sponsors, it's the fans, it's my host families. None of this is possible without you guys and the people in the community. So
and the live streaming.
And the live streaming has been good. I'm just really just
I had to get it in.
I'm just here driving the car, and people are coming along, and again, this is it's the Diamond Dawgs, and it's I'm basically it's my organization, but I look at it, it's really everybody's, and hopefully we can continue to make those memories and give experiences to not only our players but fans that have not been out to a game.
And just before we go, where is a fan going to go online to find the schedules, tickets, stuff like that?
Yeah, to go on, our website. I will be saying that I've had some assistance in our website, so it is easier for me to navigate. I won't give any names. So that's one thing that I've been working on the last couple of years, is to make sure that our website is more up to date. And I will say that it is, if you go on, you'll see new content, you'll see updates more frequently than you've ever seen before. So our website is www.mvdiamonddawgs.com, and that Dawgs is DAWGS.com. I can't spell, so that's why we went with DAWGS.
I had to think for a second too, so don't feel bad. It's all good.
Spelling's not my thing.
Fortunately, it's on your shirt there, so
yeah.
It is.
Well, no, and he's a teacher.
Yeah.
Right.
Listen, we're all good at something. Spelling's not my thing. So.
Hey, listen, I did 1 day of substitute teaching, and I can understand exactly why towards about this time the brain drain sets in.
Yeah.
Would you want to come back to substitute teaching? We're always looking.
No. I'm keeping him way too busy.
Yeah,
I know he's
you
busy.
kidding me? This guy around?
I know. Just throwing it out there.
I appreciate it, though.
If anybody would like to be a substitute teacher, please email me at Travis at MV.
You can email me that, too.
Email me there, too. So.
Oh, God.
Well, Travis, thank you so much for coming on. Like I said, we cannot wait for this season to get started. We're sure you guys are going to do awesome, and we'll be with you every step of the way. So can't wait to be a part of this.
Absolutely. Appreciate you guys, and, when we look forward to having a great season.
Absolutely. All right, that was Travis Heiser, General Manager and owner of the Mohawk Valley Diamond Dawgs, and that is all the time we have here on Small Town Life. We will see you next time.